Welcome to the world of nutrition. My name is Sue Roscoff, and I am here with the World of Ability Podcast Network. And so happy to introduce Marilyn Lemaire, who is the host of World of Nutrition. And Marilyn, welcome. How are you tonight?
Aloha, so good. Thank you, Sue. How are you?
Doing great. So glad to have you here and producing another wonderful show. I'm excited to meet your guests.
Yes, I have two amazing guests today, and I look so forward to looking forward, excuse me, to just learning more and diving in deep. So my first guest is Mary Morrison. She is a seasoned health and well-being coach for business leaders in extraordinary times, a trained Chinese medical practitioner, Qigong energy healer, and a teacher of the Humaning Well method. She teaches leaders to unlock their inner wisdom and cultivate resilience and create consilience through her transformative Wisdom Within method. With 20 plus years of experience, Mary guides leaders to regain their health and well being that has a ripple effect into their organizations, communities, and families. Mary, thank you so much for being here.
So, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. So, yeah, it's good to see you again, too.
You too. Yeah, please tell us a little bit more about what you do.
After I was listening to the introduction, I'm like, man, that's a lot of words. So, yeah, what was it that I do? And it's like, I'm actually a human being that cares about how society and culture are being shaped. I'm curious about how humans um, have the ability to shape themselves, their families, their workspaces into what I call, human centered. Um, how can we bring our humanity, uh, uh, messy as it is being human, fully being expressed in the world? It's an asset. And so, how I do that is I work with people, leaders, CEOs, business owners who are feeling the pressure, stress of certainly running a business, and how stress impacts decision-making ability, certainly your health and well-being. Certainly, as a Chinese medical practitioner, I would see many people in my office that have chronic health conditions, big labeled, Western diagnoses. They were looking for something deeper, something more. And so what I found is a lot of them were business owners. I attracted a lot of people that have um, businesses that they were trying to make a difference in the world. It wasn't just about having a paycheck. And so what I decided after about, I don't know, well, 4 years ago, let's say, that I would actually take the coaching conversation in my Chinese acupuncture appointment and pull that out and have it be its own thing. Certainly, Chinese medicine using needles to help people step fully into who they are is amazing medicine. However, I kept hearing the same thing over and over and over and over, year after year. Mary, that thing you said about how I have say so or agency about this relationship, this work dynamic, like how it's impacting me physically and why I was coming to you, and how that actually developed why I had headaches or back pain or neck pain. You told me to do this and it worked. So basically I was telling people, do this. I work myself out of a job, which is an unusual business model, but that's at the core. I'm a teacher. At the core, I believe the human body is amazingly designed. I believe everybody's a leader. We all have something to lead. I believe that when we come from a place of calm and presence, it's a powerful state. We make better decisions in calm presence. So I teach people how to use stress as a wise teacher. Basically, think of it, Marilyn, like upsets, stress, tension is a stop sign for the body. Your body's pain, tension is saying stop. And so I teach you how to pay attention to it. And what's behind the pain or the tension or the deeper thing. Well, then I walk you through my process about how to not only understand that stress and stress symptoms are wisdom, 100% wisdom, but what it's pointing to, what maybe you might be overlooking. Because sometimes we interpret stress symptoms, I wouldn't say wrong, but incompletely, maybe, if that's a word, if that's a word. Like we don't really have the full story. And so I'm used as a guide and a teacher to help people use pain, discomfort as a wise teacher.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I've been hearing it reminded me of do I have stress or does stress have me kind of
Yeah,
thing. And just noticing, okay, I love that you said stress isn't necessarily bad because a lot of people think that stress is bad. However, stress is just like, hey, pay attention, there's
pay
something
attention.
happening. And then let's be curious about where we're going to navigate next. So I love that's how you look at that and how you help your clients navigate through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, stress is $1 million business, $1 billion business, right? And so being kind of like blind to how am I creating the stress as a curiosity, not a blame, right? Because you're gonna be human. Like I tell people, listen, I'm not gonna take the human being out of you. You're gonna stress is, think of it like, the old analogy I was told is like stress is actually great, it makes amazing diamonds. But too much creates a cascading effect, which then leads to bigger and bigger body symptoms. So, yes, my kind of unique aim into leadership is really the underpinning is a person's health, and doesn't have to be major health issues, but every single person I've ever coached, I've ever treated as a patient back in the day, that I've taught classes, everybody has symptoms. And so we can either pathologize every little symptom, or we could go, could I get curious about what this symptom is pointing to? Because let me tell you this, I'm glad people get upset and they have symptoms, because it actually says, my full 100% belief is that you care. There's something you value, and that's why you're stressed, right? Because stress becomes too, it's kind of it's a garbage word. It doesn't really mean anything. And that's where I come in and say, okay, where are your stress points with your business? I mean, I have a business background, I have an MBA, I own my own business, I've run different businesses, right? But I take that and say, what matters to you that you're overriding, and why your team isn't working, why you're not making money, or just the culture of your organization is not in a good place. Why, maybe why you have, let's get curious why people are quitting, or it's really hard to hire people, right? So I take a different approach, because I believe the human body is always wise, 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've been diving deep into actually old wounds, possibly old traumas that like I've been carrying along with me as an adult that no longer serve me. However, in my mind that I need to hold on to these because that's going to protect me. So I'm seeing like this is the situation I'm in now as an adult. I don't need to hold on to those. And it's safe for me to let it go and say, hey, thanks for, helping me at that age when I was, 5 or 10. However, now I'm not, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I think that, um, like you said, just being curious and uncovering, peeling back the layers of onions that we put up to protect ourselves, I think that's going to make a huge difference. And it sounds like that's kind of what you've been doing with how we heal.
Yeah. I mean, I think the it's interesting, because someone's like, well, what's the difference between like coaching and therapy? And because I think, unfortunately, like having conversation with somebody has been relegated to therapy, which is too bad in a sense, because this may sound harsh, but I don't care about what's happened to you in the past because you probably have insight to it. But it's more important that in this moment right now, whatever actually hasn't been like dealt with back here is actually showing up here. But the transformative aspect of using your symptoms as a wise guide, because the Western psychological model is mostly focused on like mental, but in all ancient medicines, 100%, there's no separation. Absolutely, you can't think a thought without having a reactivity in the body. The change, the different hormones are released, right? And when you get all those tests, right, that's just a snapshot. Your blood pressure never stays the same, right? So what I encourage people that are interested in learning from how their symptoms are wise, consider it's not just a form of health care or self-care, because most of the people I work with they're small business owners. So their personal stresses and their business stresses, it's permeable, a very thin veil. But it's still like, right? When you're stressed about business stuff, when you bring it home, right? You're impacting your family or other dynamics and relationships. And the same one from home to work. So that's being human, right? That's just that's just life. That's just how it's going to be. So we can't fix that. And I don't promise that, but what I can promise absolutely is all of your symptoms are pointing to something that you're likely overriding, missing, and it has to do with the thing that's not moving. Because my background is Chinese medicine. It's about studying qi flowing. It's about studying how the nature and the human body, they're inextricable. Like you are the sun, you are the weather, you are the climate that you're in, you mirror that. So it's basically doing a diagnosis on a business or an organization on why, like the complaint, like what's not happening, and getting that chi to start flowing freely again through my process. And so it's the different take, because I don't consider your symptoms a problem. That's a very radical worldview. It's not a problem, because if it's a problem, then there's all this kind of linear conveyor belt of here's what you do and then what you do. It's like, no, do you live linearly? I don't know. I'm always like responding and reacting to whatever's going on around me. You're a dynamic, beautiful being, right? We're just interacting. So the basically the framework that I operate in is honoring all of that. And you, again, back to the beginning of like being a much more fully expressed human inside your life, because then disease cannot settle. That's the thing. And if it does, you still have a lot more choice and freedom in how you move forward in your life. Whatever obstacle you said that's in your life that you want to create opening, that's possible. You're living life more freely and from agency rather than, being a victim to what your circumstances are.
I love that so much. Yeah. Being able to, because I do believe when we have stress, when we um, don't take care of ourselves, for whatever reason, there's, life happens to all of us, and then disease gets created, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, how can we be gentle and love ourselves? And I will say that I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I noticed that within myself, and I would really make myself sick before because I had to be perfect. And now when I realize, no, I don't have to be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. And that's how I'm going to learn. I'm figuring out things that don't work. And, that's been a huge weight that just lifted off my whole body. I could feel it just lift off my whole body and my brain and all of that. So, just really notice what you're noticing. And I love how you're helping especially business owners, because they need to take care of themselves. They need to take care of their employees and their clients.
It's hard to run a
Love it.
business, isn't it? This is not for the faint of heart.
And their
you gotta be
families, right?
tough.
So when they say, don't take your work home with you, don't take your work, don't bring home to work. It's just like we're still human beings. Like there's no way to separate that.
There isn't, and and everybody's got to figure out how they work in the world. Like, I mean, I have an office, and I still see a couple people for acupuncture because there's just some people they want me to do all the work. Let's just say, coaching, as you know, it's being like asking curious questions to see, well, how did you create a body that's tightening the jaw? Or that's curious about your back pain. How did you do that? And I'm always get like, how did I do it? Like, it just happened. It's like, well, maybe it did. I'm open. Maybe it did, but let's find out. And then after a series of questions, the person is saying, oh yeah, I guess I am holding my body in a particular way when the big boss comes in the room and asks me about the project. Or I look at my P&L and I'm like, oh my gosh, the first quarter is almost done and I have not met goals. So then you start to worry. But as you know, worry doesn't stay up here in your head. It's not just here. That's why mental health is a curious way to say how people are stressed. It's like, no, it's a full body health and wellness, right? When we worry, a lot of people say, well, my stomach I start to tighten, right? I start to clench. Okay, it's fine. But do you know how you do that? Do you know how you do that? Because who's clenching the stomach, right? Pretty sure that you are doing it. I think just out of habit, just out of practice, right? So then once you're like, oh, and then the kicker has always been, does it help with the thing you're dealing with to clench your stomach? I haven't had anybody ever say yes, but it becomes this moment usually of like, could I get whatever I need to get done? Noticing my reactivity, right? My latest blog post was about, can you be reactive in the world with what's happening wherever, right? Be a human caring in the world. Observe your emotions, but not go into them. Absolutely. Was doing that today. I got some news. I could notice my body tightening. And when I do that, I'm not thinking creatively, right? I'm putting off decisions and timelines that do need an answer, right? So I'm prolonging things that need to be me to be active, right? And I just could feel like I could go into this, oh my God, I'm so upset. And then, cascade that out into my partner or the other people I work with. But I could feel it and go, well, this is my choice point, right? When I notice nothing comes out of the blue, nothing. It's out of oblivion. But I notice enough where I'm tense. Okay, if I keep tightening, I know I'm going to start getting a headache because I can feel the first symptom of my back, right? Is pointing to, Mary, if you keep doing this. So I just decided, I'm making the decision right there. It's like, no, I'm not going there. Because it's just a habit of thinking negative, or it's just a habit that we just need to interrupt. Just need to means like, oh, it sounds simple, but it's fairly straightforward. It's not simple. We have to replace habits with other habits. So the new habit needs practice. So that's what I walk people through. But we use your body as the guide.
Well, I'm curious, when somebody is starting to feel, stress or nervous, and, I'll just speak from So if I come up with a scenario that I made up in my head, and then I make another scenario, and then they're all false because they never happened. Right. And I create something that's so, so big, and I create so much stress. Like, what is something that you would recommend that I do? Just a quick tip to just shift.
Pick a pen. Do you have a pen? I want you
Yes.
to put a dot on your hand. It's for anybody that's watching or listening. Put a dot on your hand. I always put it on I don't write with my left, but it doesn't matter. So just put a dot on your hand, on the top of the hand. I wash my hands a lot, so I'll often, my second dot, or I'll actually put an X on my wrist.
Okay.
Okay, so why the dot, right? Okay, simplicity. You can also put a ring that you wear on your left hand, maybe on your right. You can put a watch that you normally wear on your left, on your right. Just something that feels kind of a little off to keep you in observation, because I will be typing away, kind of get into my work, and then I'll be like in my work, right? I'm not aware all the time. And then I'll be like, oh, there's a dot. Oh, there's a dot on my hand. Huh. How's my body? Right? That's like, huh, am I tense anywhere? Okay, yeah, actually, this becomes an interrupter. It's very powerful. It's a very simple, because most people are looking at their hands, or at least from from the elbows down to the fingertips, because we're on computers mostly. It might be like, if you're like moving around put a pillow from the couch onto your stairwell if you have a stairs, right? You're like, just because you're like, why is there a pillow? Oh, what wisdom, like what tension it is, because we want to be aware of our physical body, because this is what's going to break down. There's no getting out of it. You're human. You're going to die. But we do have some choice about the quality of body and life, starting with noticing, oh, I'm in this body. What is tense right now? Does it help? This takes seconds, right? Once you get into the practice, and once you go through all of the skills, which there are 12, and I add some Qigong in there, because Qigong is all about moving Qi in the body through meditation and movement. It amplifies what we work, the skills that I teach. So that's the dot, that just put a ring on another, because you're like, oh, what's my ring? Oh, yeah, okay. How's my body? Just get curious, because don't answer that question. Don't answer the question because you're going to go, well, it's because the sun and something's retrograde or whatever. Maybe, probably. But for very practical purposes, it's just noticing, oh, I'm doing the tensing. Well, guess what? If you did it, you can then not further it and learn to go, oh, I can handle this stressful dynamic, not ratcheting up my shoulders or whatever you do, or clench my toes or whatever. A lot of people hold their breath. And I have to tell you that someone healed their asthma, a CEO I work with, just by noticing how much she tightened her breath in meetings. She had never noticed that until we started observing that one symptom. Now she doesn't need an inhaler at all. And it's been like 2.5 years since we've worked together.
Amazing. And I was gonna say, I don't know why this morning I've been wearing my ring on my right hand for 1.5 years. This morning I switched it to my left finger, on my left hand, and I'm like, I don't know why. And like now we're talking, I'm like, wow, it's so interesting. Yeah, I keep looking, I'm like, oh, it's on my left hand, and it's
it
been
feels a little weird.
It's been on my right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel super weird, but it just kind of wakes up. We have this kind of like what I call already always listening. We have this already always like thing we kind of plug and play and go. Then we forget about this magnificent body, right? That's always talking to us. We have to watch the interpretation, because it, like, who knows, but it's the first step to working with me and to start interrupting dis-ease is to notice, is tensing, am I tensing? Okay. And is it helping get done what needs to get done? If not, then let's learn to how to, because then the upset, that's my point. The upset is then now useful. You can take your Advil, like keep doing that. But what if you can do both? And then eventually you, like my client, she didn't need her inhaler. You didn't, like, I used to have headaches, a lot of headaches. And as a practitioner, that always bothered me, because I feel like I should know better, right? I should, like, I know acupuncture, I know Chinese medical theory, I know why I get the, right? But I really didn't realize how I was tensing so much to a lot of different life situations that I couldn't control. And then I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm really going to be also perfectionist here. I'm just going to, I'm going to make a commitment and intention to let go and not, and practice, because perfectionist is a box, and it's a really hard box. And I've decided I'm going to use my perfectionistic tendencies because I feel them in my body when I start the mind chatter. So same for you. It's like when you start that, oh, I got to do something right. Notice your body and go, ooh, is that spacious and open? If not, then maybe you could let that go. Only two things we're doing all day: take effective action or completely let it go.
I love that
100%.
so much. Yeah. And please tell all of my listeners, all of the listeners, if you have any things coming up or how to get in touch with you should they want to learn more.
Yeah, please do. So you can find me on the website, which has all my information. I'm located on the East Coast. It is getting dark here. At howweheal.info. And that's with 2 W's. So howweheal.info. It's Mary at howweheal.info. Yeah, please get a hold of me if you have any curiosities of any of my coaching programs. I have 3. I'm in constant rotation. And yeah, I would love to hear from anyone who has curiosity about how their body's wise.
That's so fascinating. I love that. Thank you so much, Mary. Do you
Thank
have
you,
social
Marilyn.
media too that
Yes,
people can
everything's
follow?
at How We Heal or howweheal.info. You'll see my face. It's I think the pictures are a little younger. But I think you'll be able to recognize me. But yeah, on Blue Sky is the new social media. Then I'm on Insta, LinkedIn, and Facebook. No TikTok.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mary. We're so
Thank
glad
you,
that
Marilyn. Thank you
and
so much.
so welcome. And our next guest, Savina, aka Savy Makalena. She is a lifetime caregiver, a daughter, mother, and mentor with a Bachelor of Arts degree in business management and an extensive background in business strategies, financial management, sales management, marketing and branding, and training and development. Savy is currently the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Gimme A Break and the publisher of the Giver's Guides magazine. Prior to Gimme A Break, Savy was Executive Vice President of Sales for Maui Divers Jewelry. I did not know that. Savy had also served as Executive Vice President of Corporate Strategy and the Vice President of Retail Operations for Martin and Macarthur. She also serves as Vice President on Hawaii Family Caregivers Coalition. And the past 7 years, she has devoted her time as a caregiver for her father and mother. So currently she stands steadfast at the side of her spouse in their battle with cancer. Wow, Savy, you have such a powerful story. Please share with us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think this story here is really, and hi, Marilyn, how are you?
So good. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad, and sending you lots of great and wonderful healing energy. It's funny. I was listening to Mary, and I love everything she said. And I forget, she was talking about something, and something popped to my mind. And this is going to show my age, but I remembered this old movie called First Wives Club. And she's talking about feeling the feels, right? And in that movie, the one who plays the actress Elise, and she at one point says, "You all think I don't have any emotions? I'm an actress. I have all of them." I don't know if you remember that line. So for me, it's I'm an empath. I feel all your emotions. Right? So we have ours and others as well. And I believe that that's what really put me on this path to where I needed to be and in my caregiving journey. And I've kind of been a caregiver all my life, took care of my mother. She's Japanese national, so she couldn't speak English very well, so I did all of the English teaching. When I went to school, I came home, my homework was to teach my mom what I learned. And for years, I had to translate things for her. I had to write checks for her. I had to sign her signature. She wasn't able to write cursive in English. And so I wrote my own notes for school. That was fun. So I had no unexcused absences. That was nice. Sometimes the waves were up at Sandy Beach, you had to have an excuse. So There you go. No, I never did that. And so, of course, there were all of those things. There was, and then I guess as I was growing older, mom, grandmother, had all of that. And then more recently, in the last 10 years, I've had both my parents, and my father, a year and a half later, passed away. And my mother now is in her final stage of dementia. It's been 7 years that I've cared for her. So it's been quite a journey of caregiving. But when my mother was placed into care, one of the hardest things for me was that I did what almost every caregiver I've talked to since has done, and that's to promise that you'll never put them in a home. And I made that solemn vow. And when I got to a point with my mother where she just hit a level of care that I was doing more harm than I was heal. And there was nothing more that I could do. And I couldn't afford to bring in, at $30,000, $20,000, $10,000 a month to pay for certified caregivers and CNAs and nurses to come in and take care of my mother. The only alternative then was to find placement for her. So I put her into a private home, and she's been there since. And now that she's in her final stage of dementia, there's not a lot that she can relate to. And she's been non-ambulatory, non-auditory, and non-reactive for quite some time now. But watching that journey has been very hard. And when I had to place her, that was one of the hardest things on me. I took it very hard. I went into depression. I was suicidal. I was overweight. I was exhausted. And that was where I allowed my dis-ease to take over, right? I did not have the tools I needed to allow myself to heal. And all the grief from my father's death, all the grief from losing my mother just decided to descend on my body. And I did manage to get myself out of that. And I did manage to bring healing to myself. It took 9 months. And after 9 months, I started Gimme A Break, which is the nonprofit organization that I have. So I tell people that I went into 9 months of depression and I gave birth to a mission. And that's what Gimme A Break's all about. But that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Well, that's so powerful. So I met Savy, and I was just appalled and shocked to learn the statistic that 50% of caregivers don't outlive the people that they're caring for. And so, Savy, tell us a little bit more about that. Like, it was just mind-blowing for me.
And it's a scary statistic. We don't even think about that, right? Is that so if 10 people who are caregivers, 5 of them could potentially pass before the one they're taking care of. And we don't realize that that's a statistic that we're all becoming part of. And let me broaden that a little bit too, because we're all caregivers. So, and I always tell people, pets and plants, right? So people, pets and plants. If you're taking care of somebody, then you're a caregiver. And a lot of people don't even realize, first of all, that they're a caregiver and that they're at risk. And that's a national statistic. So the worst part of that statistic is when you go by age group. So if you then look at those who are 70 and older, it jumps up to 70%. So a lot of our kupuna, and for those who are watching this podcast not from Hawaii, kupuna are your seniors or our beloved older ones. And they are watching each other a lot of times. It could be your parents or your grandparents. And we don't realize that the one who's the caregiver in that relationship could pass before the one that they're caring for. And a lot of times people say, oh, it's so cute, one passes and then the other follows because they miss each other. And I love that sort of romanticizes it. But the honest truth is that the caregiver passed first. And the reason why the other in that relationship didn't make it is because there was no one to care for them. And so being a caregiver is a high-risk job. And not just as a family caregiver, but even as a paid caregiver, because then they get paid all day to caregive. They still have to go home. They're doing double duty. So you're high at risk, and we need to realize that. And we need to be able to survive caregiving. We need to be able to continue on and then find joy in our lives again, because caregiving is just that momentary lesson in life that we're going to absorb and learn from and be better from. our life's mission is not necessarily caregiving. Our life's mission then is to go on and continue and find joy and find ease in everything that we do. And so you can't do that if you don't survive. And so Gimme A Break's on a mission of survival to help caregivers to learn how to practice wellness in moments, how to get educated, and we offer support as well. We have our weekly support sessions where we learn. We're actually going through the wellness wheel right now, and we take mental wellness. And there's 8 little spots on the wellness wheel, and we took mental wellness, and we're spending 3 weeks on it. That's how important it is. So, yeah.
I am all about mental wellness, and we just had a amazing event over at Arcadia where all the caregivers came to get pampered, and it was so powerful. They were full of smiles. They got massages and roses, and they did exercises, and just got to spend some time out of their day to remember to take care of themselves. So
I always love that when they come in and you see them, they're just like zombies. And then when they leave, their faces are lit up and you lifted them up. And I love our pamper sessions for that. I think that's a wonderful thing. And I love that was the core of one of the values that when we started Gimme A Break, was that the pamper sessions was one of the very first things, was that we had to figure out a way to give a break. And that's the biggest break we give, is to teach them. It's not just that they get the massage and they get the aromatherapy and all that. They also get educated. And then they don't feel alone. They get connected to a community. And so it's a great and wonderful thing.
And also reminded that it's okay to stop and take care of yourselves, because a lot of times where it's like go, 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 and then they may feel bad if they take a break for themselves. And that's not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah. Letting go of guilt is a really tough one. That's something we actually spend a lot of time on. I have a full series on letting go of caregiver guilt. And that's another one that I think we're coming up on that one. We go through them throughout the year, and letting go of caregiver guilt's one that every time I go through the series, and I believe it's a 10-part series, so 10 weeks of our sessions. And it just, by the end of it, I learn every single time, because I held so much guilt in, right? You hold it, you hang on to it. You don't want to let go of it, or you don't know where it is in your body and you have to find it. But, you can't feel guilty for things that you put in there, right? So we're doing things we don't have to feel guilty about, but we make ourselves feel guilty. And so, again, to what Mary had said earlier, was that, you put it there. So letting go of caregiver guilt, really big one for caregivers. And I think that it will change your perspective on caregiving if you understand that you really don't have anything to feel guilty about, but that if you do, it's okay. And then there's a way to help release that from you.
I think that was huge when I realized that, it's just like, okay, I didn't consider myself a caregiver until I met you. And I was like, I am a caregiver, right? I have 2 children. My oldest is autistic with ADHD. So it's just like, there's a lot of extra things that I get to do for him to help his development. And it's not always convenient. And I get to, learn through that. And each person is just different, and each person wants to be loved differently.
Yeah.
So it's
yes. And you have your family close to you too. You have your parents, and that's a lot sometimes. And that kind of circles back to worry as well, right? So we don't realize how much we're worrying about, right? Total wasted energy, by the way. But yes, we're not realizing how much we're worrying about it. You could be worrying about your dad or your mom, and you could be worrying about your kids, and so there's a lot of that. And as a caregiver, you shoulder all of these things, and there are ways to get through that day and ways to release that. I mean, and of course, having a coach that can help you is a wonderful thing, but there are also ways that you can practice in the moment of every day, maybe in 5 minutes, maybe in 1 minute, to help release and get through. And then at the end of the day, you're a little bit more joyful, and the more joy you can have, then the better your caregiving journey gets.
That reminds me, because it's like there's things that's happening and we are worried. And I'll speak for mine, when I'm worried, I'm not being in the present. So then it's like, okay, well, how can I be in the present? And I would love for you to share one of your tools or tips that you teach to just help us to be more present and grounded.
You know, there are so many. You put me on the spot for this one, didn't you, rascal? Okay, so so I think the thing too is that realizing that you can, first of all, that you can in a moment actually kind of right yourself and balance yourself. And believe it or not, breathing is one of the best things as humans that we can do. Just breathing. And if you can't get it together, in the very least, take 3 big breaths. Sit down. And I tell people, go to the toilet. It's the only place you can be alone anymore, unless you have a dog like me. Dog goes everywhere, right? But go to the toilet, shut the door. You could be in a public place even if you wanted to, but at least that's where we're truly alone sometimes, right? And so deep breath in through your nose, release it through your mouth. Do that very slowly, just 3 times in a row. Super easy. It helps you. Now, that's not an all-encompassing answer, but at least it'll kind of break that moment, right? But there's so many ways that, believe it or not, there's so many ways that you can fight the stress, fight the worry, break that. You can change your brain and you can use your brain in the right way. And we have actually coming up, if I'm going to jump ahead, I apologize, but we have coming up our Hawaii Caregivers Expo. And our Hawaii Caregivers Expo, this is our 4th annual expo. This year it's going to be at Windward Mall. And we have Body Brain Yoga coming, and they're wonderful. And they do these 5-minute brain exercises. And I mean, they have hour-long classes that you can go to, but for us, they do these 5-minute brain exercises just for caregivers. And in 5 minutes, what you can do can change everything, everything. And it's just a matter of mindfulness to your moment. You know, take that mindful moment, do it guilt-free. You deserve that. You earned that. You absolutely can own that. And there's nothing wrong with it. And so they'll be there at the expo, and they're going to actually be doing a demonstration of how to do that. So if whatever I said today isn't enough, just come to the expo and you'll get that.
I love that. Yeah. And it's so much information, great sponsors and booths over there as well. So
yeah, there'll be over 40 resource partners. So we have over 40 resource partners. This isn't about sales. It's all about information. So caregivers can collect information. They can talk face-to-face with the people that will help them. And amazing resources that we have. And these are all designed. This isn't a senior fair. You go to a senior fair, and yes, there are a lot of great resources for senior. This is our only caregiving expo that we have, right? And it's all focused on your caregiving, and not the one you take care of, not that person, because there's a lot out there for them. This is for a caregiver. And so all our resources will tailor to what the caregiver needs. And then we have Care for Kupuna as well, who'll be emceeing the event. We have a couple of presentations. Annette Cam, who I just adore. She's the author of the book, Wait, Don't Die Yet, which I love. It's a great book. And it really talks to you about preparedness and how to plan for your what's going to happen. And then Imari Hun of First Foundation Bank will be talking about frauds and scams, because we're exhausted. We get very taken for scams. You answer that phone because you think you're supposed to answer it. Something's wrong. Who is this? Hello? Next thing you know, you're being taken for a scam, or the one you're caring for is being taken for a scam. So she has some great tips on that. And yeah, we have Kupuna Power. We'll be playing some music with Brickwood Galataria, and just an amazing, great day. It's only from 10 to 2, but that moment could make all the difference for a caregiver.
Love that. And you have your Zoom every Tuesday, so you can share about that as well.
Yeah. So just to finish up, that is going to be at Windward Mall on March 22nd. And that's not this Saturday, the following. And it'll be from 10 to 2. Yeah, like I said. Also, any Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., you can come on to our support sessions. You know, we're a support group, basically. I just call them sessions because we're not just we're not just in a bitch sesh, right? We're also learning, we're sharing with one another, we're helping each other get through it. We share tips and tricks. And I always give little homework assignments that help you to try to make small changes through the week. So it's a great session and it's free online. And all you have to do is go to Zoom and type in our phone number, which is 808-754-3787, and join us on a Zoom.
Perfect. And please tell people where we can find you as far as your website, social media.
So yeah, we're all over social media. It's smeltered with us. And who did that? And so gab808.org is our website, and you can find a lot of great information on our website. It's going to get better too. We're actually working on revamping it completely. So by this time at the end of the year, you'll love our website even more. So gab808.org is where you can go. And if you go on Facebook, Instagram, we are on TikTok, although I haven't tended to that one much. And so, yeah, but just about every platform out there, just type in Gimme A Break or GAB808 and you'll find us. And we also have a YouTube channel in case you want. All of our outreach presentations that we do online are recorded and available there for you to watch.
Well, thank you so much, Savy, for being on. I appreciate you. I love Gimme A Break. As you know, I am on the board. So, this fantastic organization.
And we're honored to have you. And I'll tell you, the thing is caregivers are the invisible society, right? No one sees the caregiver. Everyone sees the person needing care. So we're here to yell, and we need your voices to yell, we are here, we are here, we are here. So we also advocate. So please, while you're on our website, look, we are trying to advocate for a bill to help caregivers get paid as well. And we just need community. Come together as a community, hold hands, because the louder our voice, the more people will hear that caregivers need support. So thank you for that.
Love that so much. Thank you. And so I wanted to, start closing with thanking Mutual Aid Network. Mutual Aid Network is an amazing nonprofit that Sue and Kurt and I help to just be able to give back. So this nonprofit, everybody has a talent, everybody has their strengths. Not everybody necessarily has the finances for it. So what we do with Mutual Aid Network is we trade each other's time to help bless other people. So tomorrow I'm actually going to be hosting Zoom karaoke, which I started during the pandemic because we weren't able to go out. So we'll be doing Zoom karaoke at 8 a.m. Hawaii time. So please feel free, jump on, sing your favorite songs. It's so fun to see the different types of songs and the different types of voices. And even if you just like to listen and hear different music, and clap, you're more than welcome to come. So I love Mutual Aid Network. I'm just so thankful for that nonprofit. And then I also want to give a shout out to Frequence. Frequence is just an amazing, amazing company. Frequency infused health and wellness, like mental wellness products. Like this has made such a difference in my life and my family's lives as we've been navigating through a whole bunch of, ups and downs and shifts and directions, and something that I love is the frequency straw. So everybody asks me, what is it? What are you drinking from? I'm like, oh, it's a frequency straw. So this straw is actually infused with 11 harmonic frequencies. It's proprietary frequencies, and it helps to calibrate your body's energy. It helps to structure your water or whatever you're drinking for optimal hydration. It balances your emotions and well-being, and you're literally like tuning your body as you drink. So you're drinking to your health, literally. And I love this straw. It's amazing. Frequence has it. And I would love to connect if you have any questions on that. So I'm Marilyn Lemaire, and I'm just so thankful that you all were here for the World of Nutrition podcast. And we will see you again next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Marilyn, you are an amazing host with World of Nutrition. So glad to have this happening on the second Friday of the month at 1 p.m. Hawaii time. Join us next month for the next edition of World of Nutrition. From all of us here at the World of Ability Podcast Network, we thank